Washington explaining the need for making that first alone.
Munyarwanda nkwibutse se kwibuka kuhora wibuka uko mwana gato ukamwibuka cyangwa se ukabibuka ntabanga nguhishe mana ndananiwe umutima wanjye urantegeka nabuze imbaraga unduhure ndacyabunamiye sindata igiti sinkwibutsa kwibuka uhora wibuka uko mwana gato ukamwibuka cyangwa se ukabibuka nibuka bya bitambambuga nkaniha urupfu bapfuye ni rubi ba nyina bakojejwe isoni ndacyabunamiye sindata igiti abajugunywe mu manga n'inzobo ndabibuka n'abashangukiye imusozi hari n'ababuriwe irengero ndacyabunamiye sindata igiti sinkwibutsa kwibuka uhora wibuka ko mwana gato ukamwibuka cyangwa se ukabibuka abo twahigwaga hamwe ndabibuka sinihishe ngo nsigare nubwo ndi igisenzegeri ndacyabunamiye sindata igiti nyabusa munyarwanda ibuka igihe gishize cyo gashira imigezi yahindutse amaraso ndacyabunamiye sindata igiti sinkwibutsa kwibuka uhora wibuka ko mwana gato ukamwibuka cyangwa se ukabibuka nari mfite umuryango munini urawibuka wowe wari ufite abavandimwe bose bazize akarengane ndacyabunamiye sindata igiti muri twe harura intarami Bugesera undi inzozi ze ziba Gisozi hari n'abirirwa Bisesero n'abagorobereza ahandi nkaho sinkwibutsa kwibuka uhora wibuka ko mwana gato ukamwibuka cyangwa se ukabibuka ntawiyungira ku nzika birazira nta n'ubumwe burimo inzigo ariko ukuri kurubaka dusabe nyagasani tuzunga ubumwe Munyarwanda nkwibutse se kwibuka kuhora wibuka uko mwana gato ukamwibuka cyangwa se ukabibuka ntabanga nguhishe mana ndananiwe
Because I value my past. The memories of yesterday can never be changed, but they give me a reason to live again. There is a reason I am here today. But there is no reason you lost your lives. You were called abusive names, deprived of rights to be humans, slayed because of who you were born. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I was young, I still needed you, but you were taken away from me too soon. If I had one wish, it would be seeing you again. Today we're strong men and women, even though you are not here to see. We're carrying on to make you feel proud out there, watching down on us. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I am a witness that if you and I come together as one, we can make sure genocide never happens again. History should be told and passed on to further generations. Let's all stand up and all sing out, never again to genocide. Let's say never again
again, never again. Never again, never again.
To genocide.
Never again, never again.
Never again. We brought you flowers. 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 I am who I am because I value my past. The memories of yesterday can never be changed, but they give me a reason to live.
mbese muraho twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire ya minsi mibi muri aya mezi iratwihererana kandi ni koko kubibagirwa byo ntibizabaho mbese muraho twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire mbese muraho twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire kuribuka kwacu nabyo bidutera gusindagizanya tugakora hacu n'ahanyu mu gihugu babavukije mbese muraho twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire mbese muraho twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire turihendahenda kandi turibonera ibisubizo nyabyo imihigo twihaye iratwongorera ngo baho mbese muraho twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire ese muraho twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire kwa kwiheba rero twabisimbuje kwiguyaguya intego ni ya yindi twayiyemeje turiho mbese muraho twaje kubasuhuza turi twese tubataramire ese murabo twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire kwibuka twiyubaka twabigize ihame ntidusubire inyuma twigaruriye icyizere mbese murabo twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire ese murabo twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire turiyubakira igihugu cyacu cy'amahoro cyatugize abo turi bo kandi ubu turatwaza kigabo mbese murabo twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire ese murabo twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire mbese murabo twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire ya minsi mibi muri aya mezi iratwihererana kandi ni koko kubibagirwa byo ntibizabaho mbese murabo twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire ese murabo twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire kuribuka kwacu nabyo bidutera gusindagizanya tugakora hacu n'ahanyu mu gihugu babavukije mbese murabo twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire ese murabo twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire turihendahenda kandi turibonera ibisubizo nyabyo imihigo twihaye iratwongorera ngo baho mbese murabo twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire ese murabo twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire kwa kwiheba rero twabisimbuje kwiguyaguya intego ni ya yindi twayiyemeje turiho mbese muraho twaje kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire mbese muraho
Thank you all. You may be seated.
kubasuhuza turi twese ngo tubataramire kwibuka
Once again, welcome to all for this 32nd commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, organized by the DMV and IBUKA, the DMV community and IBUKA DMV. At this moment, I would like to welcome His Eminence, Wilson Cardinal Gregory, to step forward and lead us in a moment of prayer and a word of comfort to those who are here.
turi twese ngo tubataramire ese muraho twaje kubasuhuza turi
Dear brothers and sisters from the Rwandan community here in the United States, and especially those who call the DMV home. Many of you have agreed with me by saying that you were grateful that I was able to be with you a second year, but it was I who should be grateful to you for the kind invitation to share a few moments of reflection and prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. In the Father, you have created all of us to be your sons and daughters. You call us to be one family and to love one another in our differences. You ask us to respect those differences and to see in them the defender of your creative love. I am so grateful that so many of our Rwandan community people gather to participate in this 32nd event of remembrance. People remember for many different reasons. Sometimes we remember to keep alive feelings of anger, frustration, hatred, rejection. That kind of remembering does not free the soul. It does not free the soul. As a matter of fact, that kind of remembering only puts chains on the soul, linking them to moments of the past where there has been pain and sorrow, where there has been disappointment and rage. But there's another reason to remember, and that is a reason of healing. When people remember events, even painful events, there is the possibility that they can be freed from the past. Not that the past didn't happen, not that the pain is not real, but they want to cast off the chains that bind them to hatred, fear, anger. So remembering under those circumstances is a liberating remembering. And I am just honored to be able to be with you for these opening moments. It's my second occasion to participate in this day of remembrance, this moment of remembrance, and I thank you from the heart for it. I pray that the program that we follow will fill your hearts with hope. I think remembering should also engender in all of us a hope that tomorrow will be better, that there is a tomorrow. Many years ago, my first trip to France in 1974, I was privileged to visit Notre Dame, and right behind Notre Dame, I hope it's still there. I know that they had just had an awful event, but the cathedral has been restored. There is a plaque, and it was established by the Jewish community, and it said, I won't pretend to say the French for fear that those of you who speak French will ask, oh, pardon, it's not said that way. But it said, we will never forget, but we remember. And I think that captures, or should capture, some of the feelings that you have, that you will never forget, that you will remember. And in that remembrance, you will be free for tomorrow. God bless you. I know that there are many other parts of this afternoon that will take place after I leave, but I hope you will remember that I was here with you and that I was honored to be so. God bless you.
Thank you, Your Eminence. Thank you for the reminder of what remembrance is, the memory that keeps us connected to our history, not for all the wrong reasons, but for the purpose of growing and never going back to times as dark as those. When we say Kwibuka, or remembrance, each year, we always remind ourselves of the tagline, remember, unite, renew. That is the reason we remember. We remember to keep the memory of those we lost alive, but we also remember to be united as a people against the evil of genocide in Rwanda and elsewhere. And we remember to be able to review and grow stronger together as a nation, built on resilience, memory, and pursuit of what is right at home and in the world. So, as we continue with our program today, it's always worth reminding everybody that this is a moment that is both somber and reflective. And I would like to request that out of respect for the life, with all out of respect for the life, and out of respect for the program in general, we all ensure that our phone is silenced. We ensure that there is no distraction. And we will also hold a close on this day because clapping our hands is oftentimes a sign of rejoicing and joy. But in this particular moment, we choose to be reflective individually and collectively, and so we'll ensure that the program runs smoothly without any interruption. At this moment, I would like to welcome Emmanuel Leifana, the President of IBUKA DMV, to come and open us with his remarks. And then following him, we'll receive the President of Catholic University's representative, Dr. Lulia Bonello, who will be here to share with us the message from the university that hosted this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Deputy Chief of Mission, representing our Excellency, the Ambassador of the Republic of Rwanda, Dr. William Debero, presenting the President of the Catholic University, the President of the Rwandan Community, our distinguished speakers, Dr. Jean-Damascene Kesamalo, our testifier, Jane Celestine Danke, I would like to recognize Professor Dr. Monti, the wife from the University of Richmond. Officers, staff, survivors, Rwandan community, the Friends of Rwanda, students here present, all distinguished guests. On behalf of IBUKA DMV, it is my honor to welcome you all to this 32nd commemoration of the 1994 Genocide Against the Tutsi in Rwanda. Today we come together to honor the memory of more than 1 million lives that we lost during genocide in a short period of time of 100 days. We remember men, women, and children whose lives were cut short, whose stories were interrupted, and whose absence continues to be felt across generations. We stand to remember their names. We stand to remember their faces and to remember their humanity. We also stand in deep solidarity with survivors. Those who carry the memory, the pain, and whose strength and resilience continue to inspire us all. This history began now, not by choice, but through tragedy. IBUKA is not only the moment of remembering the past, it is a call to conscience in the present. It reminds us our shared responsibility to fight genocide in all its forms, to confront genocide ideology, to reject denial, and stand firm against hatred, against division, against any type of discrimination where they appear. It is a call on all of us to promote peace, unity, respect, liberty, and equality in our communities and beyond. We take this opportunity to respectfully call upon the United States, the Department of State, as well as the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia, to formally recognize April 7th as the day of reflection on the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. Dear survivors, this is a difficult time. We know the weight we carry. Not only the memory of your loved ones, but also the unimaginable pain will endure. Please know that you are not alone. We stand with you. Your pain is real, but your life matters deeply. We encourage one another to not let the pain define or hold you down, but to rise, to live fully with dignity, and to move forward with purpose. To live in a way that honors those we love. To live in a way that will make them proud. A moment like this is a moment to thank all the contributors who participated to make this day happen. First of all, we thank God, the creator of the universe, for sparing the lives of survivors, for sustaining them, and for giving them strength to continue. We express our gratitude to the Rwandan Patriotic Front for their selfless sacrifice in stopping the genocide and saving those who were being killed. Without their courage, many lives would not have been spared. As this commemoration is the result of a collective effort, we are so grateful to the Catholic University for hosting this event and for our continued partnership. As we deepen this partnership, we humbly express our hope to establish a memorial site on this campus, a place of reflection, learning, and remembrance for future generations. We also encourage the inclusion of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda within the academic curriculum. So then our history and lessons are understood, studied, and never forgotten. We are grateful to our speakers, whose work continues to inform global understanding and the prevention of genocide. I would like to take this moment to thank IBUKA and organizing team for your efforts and dedication you invested for this day to happen. I would like deeply to thank the Rwandan community for your continuous support, for your presence, and for making this day possible. And to all who joined us today, your presence matters. It is a powerful statement that remembrance is a shared responsibility, and that together we can build a future grounded in dignity, justice, and humanity. Let us stand together as one humanity, and our strength lies in our unity. Thank you all, and welcome.
This moment, I'd like to welcome Dr. Julia Mello, Vice Provost of Global Strategies at the University of Rwanda.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to welcome you, the University of America. I'm Dr. Julia Mello, Vice Provost for Global Strategies and Professor of Astrophysics. On behalf of our President, Peter Kilpatrick, who unfortunately could not be with us today, I extend his warmest greetings and sincere appreciation for your presence. We are truly honored to have you here. Your voices and your messages matter deeply. And we look forward to the reflections and perspectives you will share with us. This marks the third year that we host this commemoration on our campus, and each year it invites us not only to remember, but to reflect more deeply on one of the darkest chapters in this history, the genocide against the Tutsi. It was a time when the world stood by in silence, as communities were torn apart by unimaginable violence. The memory of that tragedy remains with us, not only in Rwanda's history, but in the conscience of humanity. At the same time, we recognize Rwanda's remarkable journey forward, its enduring commitment to justice, reconciliation, and the ongoing work of healing and unity. This continued progress challenges and inspires all of us. In remembering, we renew our shared responsibility, not only to hope for a better future, but to help shape it together. Future rooted in dignity, respect for human rights, and compassion across all differences. Over the past year, our relationship with Rwanda has continued to grow in meaningful ways. We are proud to have talented students from Rwanda on our campus. Their presence enriches our community and reflects the strength, hope, and promise of a new generation. Their journeys and aspirations align closely with our mission to uphold the dignity of every human person, to promote peace and social justice, and to advance human rights globally. We remain committed to deepening this partnership and to being part of Rwanda's continued story of renewal and progress. I'll bring to President Kilpatrick Van's request, and we'll continue our conversation. Finally, I would like to thank the organizers of this important event and express my hope that today's gatherings fosters meaningful dialogue, reflection, and continued collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As we continue our program, we would like to please welcome everyone that's later. This is the 32nd commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. We are all here for one purpose, to join in remembrance, to renew our commitment to never again, and to make sure that we're also teaching the next generation that this is a commitment that Rwanda and Rwandans share worldwide and throughout all of time, that what happens to Rwanda should never happen again anywhere in the world, and that we should always be the first ones to denounce it where we see it. This moment, we're going to welcome children that are part of the Rwandan DMV community here. They're going to lead us in a moment of candle lighting, and they'll share a performance that they've prepared. So we'd like to make sure that everybody has a candle. If not, I'm sure that the photographers need to help with that at the back. We are going to light the candles together. The children will lead us with cue for lighting the candle. So we'll let them lead us in the next part of the program. So I'd like to give them the floor at this time and let them see the guide in the process.
For all of them to be seen. But now it's 16. It's good. You can't zoom it out. They can't.
As we go into this moment, I would like to ask the room to rise. We'll stand as the children are singing, and as we continue to reflect on the lives we lost in the
1990 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda.
I was not there during the genocide against the Tutsi in 1994. But I carry what cannot be seen. I carry silence that speaks too loudly. Stories passed down in German voices. Stories of homes that are no longer homes. Of streets that remember footsteps that never.
I hear names whispered carefully. The family of Kwibuka32, his wife Mary, and their son Kwibuka and Maloney. The family of Kwibuka32, his wife Kwibuka, and their son Maloney, and their daughter Cynthia. The family of William Sangas, his wife Immaculate, and their daughters Beth and God.
These names once gathered around tables. These names once meant laughter in the morning. These names once meant. Now they are memory.
I try to understand the pain that is too big for my hand, too heavy for my hands, and still it lives in our history. We remember lives interrupted, dreams left halfway, children who never grew old enough to speak their own story.
And yet, in the middle of this remembering, we do not only find sorrow, we find a promise. A promise that says, see you. A promise that says, we will not forget. A promise that says, never again. Because even after the darkest chapters, we are still here, still standing, still speaking.
Still choosing unity over division, love over hatred, life over silence. For the families we lost, the names we speak today,
You are not gone from us. You live in our memory, you live in our voices, you live in the way we choose to treat each other now.
And so we say gently, affirming, we remember, we learned, we build. And from this memory, we carry hope. It's not a weak hope, but a strong hope. Never the kind that refuses to disappear. Never again, not just words. It is what we need.
Umuryango wa kabiri Sylvian na Prudentielle, Lilia na François, umuryango wa Olive na Philippe, bari imiryango, bari ababyeyi, bari bashiki na basaza, bari abo mu miryango yacu, ariko bavukijwe ubuzima bwabo, bagenda badasezereho n'amahoro. Nubwo twibuka Jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi, igihumbi magana cyenda mirongo icyenda na kane, tubereye n'agahinda, tugacogora ku butwari, twitwa twibuke kandi twiyubaka.
Let us keep alive the memory of genocide. Never, never again. Genocide against humanity. Never, never. Never again. Never again. Anahura, amanira, mazuliri shimwe. Tirao, divanira, tutireva, prieva. Pomani, amasero, chireza. Pomani, amasero, chireza. Each I want to go such a you found time and shows me. Cause my son did I to come about you, God, keep me. Say this and more, me shy, she never see mine. Was a Bible place, that you need. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
remain seated. Thank you all. For those who may not understand Rwanda, the message that was being shared by our youth today is a message of memory, a message of resilience, a reminder to our motherland, Rwanda, that she gave birth to a generation that will keep her and the memory of her is alive. They were reminded Rwanda to be comforted by the hope that we are here and that we will one day be reunited with those who lost. And for those who may not have understood the imagery before the song, one of our youngest in the group stepped forward to our guest of honor here today and was handed the light, the flame that you see on all our images today, the flame of resilience, of memory, of purpose that is always handed over from one generation to the next one. And that act was done as a symbol that whenever we come together like this, we are not just remembering for ourselves, but we're also remembering for future generations. And as parents and children learn and talk to each other about the history of their nation, that memory, that commitment lives on from generation to generation. At this point, I would like us to proceed to the item of the program. We're about to receive Mrs. Janice's enlightenment. She is a genocide survivor who will be sharing with us her testimony. Mrs. Lightman is a globally recognized human rights advocate, public speaker, and former chair of the OSCE, Office of for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights. She's the founder of 1 Million Orphans, a nonprofit organization supporting vulnerable children globally, and has spoken on major international platforms. She's also the award-winning author of A Voice in the Darkness, memoir of a Rwandan genocide survivor, which recounts her powerful story of resilience, survival, and advocacy. As we enter into this moment, we would like to once again remind everyone to be respectful of this moment and to make sure that we are keeping interruptions, voices, or anything else to a minimum so that we may be able to show respect and support the survivor sharing her testimony while also keeping in mind the memory of those who lost. I would like to welcome Mrs. Jeanne Celestine Lightman at this moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends of Rwanda, Rwanda Tutsi, good afternoon. Muraho. It is such an honor to stand with you today as we commemorate 32nd Kwibuka. Today, we gather here not only to reflect on history, but to also honor the lives over 1 million that were slaughtered. All those were the way they were created. Men, women, and children. Many of you who are here may wonder the importance of being here. For us as survivors, for us as leaders of that genocide, as you mentioned, have responsibility to stand, continue to remember, and reflect and unite. I want to take a moment to thank the Catholic University of America in its leadership for having us here today, for creating a space where we can have these moments together as people. I just want to thank the Rwandan Community from DMV, being here for organizing. And if you allow me, please, to speak in Rwanda for a moment. Abanyarwanda muri hano ndashaka kubashimira kubera ubwitange bashoboye kugira kugira ngo dushobore kuba turi kumwe uyu munsi. Ni ubutwari kuko hari amaseti menshi rwose yifashishwa biragoye. Turabashima ubwitange mwashyizeho kandi nagira ngo abo duhuje izi history kugira ngo mukomere biyubake kandi mukomeze ubutwari. I also want to thank all of you, every single one of you on this board, for being here, for standing with us. Your presence in this room today is a gift, not only to Rwanda, but to survivors. Your presence here today, we don't take it very lightly. It's a gift of remembrance, it is a gift of dignity, it is a gift of humanity. As I stand here, once again, I am a survivor and also a witness who was on the ground during the genocide against the Tutsis in 1994. Young people who have read my book usually ask me, you will be very young to have survived the genocide. I'm a 4-year-old right now. By being a 9-year-old on the ground, watching from the beginning of it to the end of it, was one of the most painful experiences a child will go through. It was one of the most painful experiences any human being will go through. I'm going to walk you through from the beginning of it to the end of it. I'm also, as a chair of human rights, I remind you that we have to be trauma informed. We recognize that we do have young children in the room. If some of your parents becomes heavy, hard, you're welcome to have young ones if they're not prepared to listen to all the details. Also, we would encourage you to stay if you want to, especially for more active people, because you have to carry the legacy. You have to carry the memory. If I was a 9-year-old, now 40, working with your elders, and you have to be the right carrying those histories to ensure that they don't repeat itself again. So on April 7th of 1994, my father was wasn't at home. But before I get to the April 7th, I want to talk to you about prior those months. My mother had a brother who was, he had 9 kids, 9 children, and his wife. And she died 2 months before April 7th. They were killed. Husband and all the 9 children slaughtered. My mother was pregnant at the time. Because my parents did a lot of work in the community, they thought, well, there was this vibrance of supporting the people. So they believed that if the genocide takes place, that we will be somehow protected. again, all the work that they've done in our community. At the time then, as we know, as we were getting closer to April, I remember my father walking into the house. He was looking at all of us, the children. That's the moment that I remember the most. This was actually the last time I saw my parents alive. A lot of people think that genocide just somehow sparked the feeling began. No, machetes. 500,000 machetes had been imported into Rwanda to carry out the genocide. Our names had been given away, in our addresses had been given away to the militia men to carry out the genocide. Many of you know the racial identification cards that we hold, our driver's license in Rwanda, those racial identification cards. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. So when the plane carrying President Habyarimana, who took president back on April 6th, the borders of Rwanda were sealed. The following morning, that's the time my father walked into the house. We were running out of time. Many of you who are parents, this was the first time I saw my parents not being in the plane. My father was 6'7" tall, walks into the house, he's shaking. And what shook him was the fact that as he was coming home, he saw children slaughtered in the street. And as he was looking at 10 of us in the house that day, something reminded him that we too would be his victims. Were women and children that he saw in the streets killed. So my parents really tried to strategize quickly as fast as they can to get us to a safe place, so at least craft the plane so that way we have a chance of survival. We were divided in groups of 3. My mother stayed in our 3-week-old little baby brother. Why do you remember this little baby boy? He was 3 weeks old. And the rest of us divided in groups of 3. I ended up taking care of my 3-year-old twin sisters, the DHA. We were told to go to my aunt who was married for 2. So we gave their place, my twin sister Jeanette, I do have a twin sister, super tall as well. She was told to go to another family who's afraid. And my older brother and mother was told to take care of my other 2 brothers who followed me and Jeanette and go to another family as well. When I arrived to my aunt's home, we were put in a very tiny room, very small room. There were so many of us in that room, packed, more women and children. And in the evening, my aunt and her husband walked in and said, everybody has to go. Every person has to go. And so I put myself in the back and let everybody else in front of me go, because I thought, it's public. I should be spared. My uncle comes in and says, you two have to go. It was my first time feeling betrayed by family. So they were sending us basically into this healing fields. And I'm thinking to myself, how I'm going to be able to maintain 3-year-old twin sisters in this madness. A genocide wasn't again. Genocide did not begin by killings. The genocide began by plans, was strategized, was orchestrated. Constantine, we published the 10 stages of the genocide, which I actually get to quote you, refer to you. In Rwanda, we were segregated. We're segregated with humanized. I remember being in my 4th grade class, and my teacher walked into the room and he said, the Tutsis on one side and the Hutus and Paul on the other side. It was a way to identify specifically which ethnic group that we belonged to. So as I walked outside of my auntie's home and my uncle's home, or the auntie and uncle, you don't know, so you hear me reference the auntie and uncle. That's how, because that's exactly what we say, auntie and uncle. Then as for the next 3 months, we stayed our time in the bushes, listening to Tutsi women and children being slaughtered outside. We were fighting. I remember the first week hearing the militiamen, the Interahamwe, singing their songs, and they went like this. Iye twaganda gure, iye twatsemba tsembe. That was the constant, and it translates into, let's torture them, let's wipe them out. The goal was to wipe out an entire ethnicity, to ensure that no Tutsi left in the country. And sure enough, it was one of the most torturous experience anyone will ever go through. So we are in the bushes, and many of you know in Rwanda it rains so much in April, so we were drenched. One outfit all those months, like I started growing into our clothes, getting off our bodies. We made our home in the bushes. And many of you might ask yourself, oh, what is I have to tell my twin sisters, the 3-year-olds, that they'll have to eat grass. They'll have to eat plants. And they'll have to eat seeds. And many of my students will ask, would you eat animals? No, no animals. We survive on grass and plants. We are in this space where I can tell you that even when we eat rice, God provided. I started hearing Holy Spirit in the genocide. There were moments where I would be in the bush and they'll send in dogs, or they'll burn the bush. I hear this voice that says, move from one area to the other. And I learned to carry on with that voice, guided by that voice. There were times where I walked out of the bushes, and they'll find me, and they'll give us 15 minutes to pray. Again, that voice will say, walk straight to these people with machetes and knives. Walk straight to your clothes. Walk straight, hold your head high. I'll go straight and walk straight to them. And I'm thinking to myself, oh God, they're going to slaughter us. Because there were other dead bodies all around us. And sure enough, I heard the voice, and often these men and women will be killing other people or pursue somebody else and leave us at the spot. There was this moment where it was raining so hard, and we had knocked on every single door, hoping somebody would give us at least something to eat, fresh milk. This day was just so, it was one of the toughest days. I don't know what was it about that day. I just felt exhausted. I felt like giving up. The point I actually wanted to walk up to the killing squad in the field. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to try another home. We had an Ubuntu friend, Mr. Fideli. We managed to get his home. And when I say get his home, a journey that was so short, maybe from here to the end of this room, it took a long time. Was you hiding? You're afraid. You're surrounded by dead bodies. I remember looking in the mountains. There were so many, my twin sisters used to say, oh, there's so many clothes in the fields and the valleys. That's where dead bodies. But people are getting there. So we get to Fideli's home. Fideli opened his home and he was shocked. He said, well, I can't believe you. You're still here. You're still alive. He brought us to his home, gave us something to eat, first meal since the genocide. And he put us in a tiny room, but there were also more women and children. In the middle of the night, we spent a night there. The following day, my uncle comes into this room. My father's oldest brother walks in. And just like my parents, he's shocked. He's shaking. My uncle wasn't the type of person who usually give like hugs. He attempted to give me a hug, and I was like, Uncle, oh no. And instead of giving me a hug, he would actually walk away again. And then he comes back again. And I was like, bro, I've seen it all. Okay, go ahead and tell me. He gave me the news that I wasn't expecting. He said, I seen your mother's dead body. And this is the location where she is. If you want to go and save the 3-week-old little boy, this is the location where your mom is. I'm thinking to myself, I can't keep the 3-year-old quiet. How am I supposed to keep a 3-week-old little boy alive, quiet, in this madness? Prior to the Agnes years, many of you know, women, sick or not, women will not go to the hospital to give birth. So there was a bond and connection to that little boy, Mitchell, named Sunshine. I had helped my mother deliver that boy. So I thought to myself, and the least my parents wanted me to do was to go and try to get this little boy. Do the best I can to keep him alive. So I mastered courage and energy, and I walked where my mother was. There were hundreds of dead bodies there. There were people whose body parts were detached because they had been slaughtered in machetes. There's some that were half dead. It was one of the, it was like being in an open graveyard. But I kept my focus. I was looking for this woman with a yellow igitele, traditional clothes, because that's what my mother had on the day we left. I was also listening carefully to see, to hear, if I could hear this little boy cry. And as I got through all these bodies, at that time, I didn't take my twin sisters with me. I told them to go sit down, and then I'll be bringing their little brother. So they were excited. I get there, finally, after searching for a while, I found my mom. And I reached out to pick up the little boy. The little boy was soaked in blood. solemn machetes. I shared that part of this story because in Rwanda, the genocide against Tutsis, the mission was to wipe out entire ethnic group. Even a 3-year-old little baby was in school. People with disabilities, people who couldn't walk, grandparents who were so old, they were not spared. So I left that area and back to my twin sister, the twin sisters, and you can only imagine the kind of situations they had. Where is mom? Where is the little brother? And I'm thinking to what I just felt. And these little 3-year-olds, many of you are like 3-year-olds and little, brothers and sisters, they asked me questions and I didn't have an answer. At one point, they accused me of actually kidnapping them, that I was choosing to be staying in the bushes. They wanted to go home. They wanted to go in their comfort bed and sleep and eat oatmeal. So we went back in our hiding places. Again, we've heard things that no child, no human should hear and experience. The memories of what I've seen, the memories of what I've witnessed still live in the archive of my memory. The Tutsis were dehumanized, where we, at one point, were the part of the human family, the branch of the human family, to being called the cockroaches, the snakes, and all the other pejorative names that strip away our humanity. Just similar to what happened to the Jewish people, they were referred to as rats. Remember this listening as these men were against their songs with they had these whistles. When I hear that, it was just a constant. It's to torture them, it's to wipe them out. So as we stayed in our hiding bushes, I used to go there at home. We're actually getting to this bush and build, kind of cut out all the good twigs. It will be like one of the, just really luscious, a place that most people wouldn't dare to go. That was the place that we were hiding. There's a lot of people who used to say that, that God somehow had left Rwanda and God comes at night time. Wimana ilikuhandi ikatahifwa. That was said because during the day, in the lights, there were killings non-stop, shenanigans and flowers. And in the nighttime, you hear a bit of quietness. And that's why they say God had left, but at nighttime comes back to your one. And again, for so many of us, some of us that were on the ground, guided by the Holy Spirit, I felt that God was dispatched our peace. God, wasn't God, there's no way that I would have been able to maintain my humanity. The courage that I had, because of the 3-year-old twin sisters. During the genocide against the Tutsis, I also, my twin sister Jeanette had been told to get this location, so I missed her so deeply. My best friend, I thought, I'm going to go down to this Hutu family and see my twin sister one more. And I knocked. This woman who had her picture and my younger brothers opened her door and said to me that, by the way, your dad was here. That's what she said to me. And she said, if you want to go and look for him, he just went this way. And so guess what I did? I chased after my dad. All of my big sisters again to see. Many of you know Hollywood. It's like a little area has like bushes, like people. I told them to stay there. They're going to actually do that. So I'm running as fast as I can, calling that because I was tired. I was exhausted, and I was hoping that if I found that, I can take over the responsibility. She will be the one in charge of finding us a place to hide, to be in charge of us helping navigate this madness. I also, my dad was my best friend. My dad was my hero. So I ran. We thought at some point, before the genocide, I actually thought I was going to become a lawyer or a doctor. None of those. I didn't have to sit down and take notes. So we had a bond that was so special. So finding him, I was like, maybe I can get that embrace and reassurance that even if we die, that I'm not the one trying to navigate all of this by myself. So I read into this plantation, and on the other side of the hill, I see this man walking down. Again, my father was 6'7" tall. And as I'm seeing this person coming down the phone bills, I hear the next day, and that translates into, there goes a tall man, there goes a tall man. The closer he got, I realized it was this is the time I ran off the stage. The closer he got, I realized it was my father. Being involved. Language in the streets with machetes. Struggling with my studies. So that's the time when now I knew I'm an orphan. This is it. Now I have the responsibility. I have to pivot, figure out how to maintain life without old family guys. That I've grown up. So I know I share stories and you have a responsibility. And memories, not always, and memories, not fade. Those sound of me for being more. Some of you have families are in Rwanda. My story might seem like a unique story, but it is a story of you. And you have a responsibility to stand. Having gukome ukabaho. After the genocide, actually, from during a poor time, in the middle of the genocide, they confirmed that they have forgiven the Tutsi women and girls, have forgiven us, being who we are, for not making the choice in how we were created. And once I heard the news that we be forgiven, I got out of the bush, just like many other women and girls. And I wanted to have this news confirmed by the mayor. So I meet the mayor, and he said, indeed, the news is it's true, but I want to confirm if you're a girl. So he had me lift up my little skirt, had to wrestle my twin sister to show him that they're wrong. So he sent us to a place, a location, where he deemed to be a safe place, the place where they would actually rebuild our home, which had been destroyed with grenades and bombs at this point. When we arrived there, we realized that it was actually a truck. They had their machetes, they had their crops, and they told us to have a seat, that they were going, that they gave us time to pray. They said, go ahead and pray, we'll kill you in 15 minutes. I don't know about you, when everything is being stripped away, and all you have is prayer and pray. My little sisters had their little hands folded, and we pray. I had a simple prayer in the genocide that says, God blind them that they might not see. Blind them that they might not see us. After 15 minutes was over, they said, we're giving you 15 more minutes. And as you can see, like there were women who come and spit in our faces. And the expression of the time, that is sort of like softening. And they told us to actually stay in one of the leaders' home. And what I found out was there was another young girl who was actually who attended the same school that I did in Nyanza. She was being raped constantly by this man who was supposed to be the leader. Many of you know one of the reasons why I dedicated my life to really advocate for human rights, because when there's a war, when there's a conflict, just like in Rwanda during the Genocide Against the Tutsis, women and girls, rape was used as a weapon in Rwanda. So you went documented between 250 to 500,000 women who have been raped in a genocide. Some women are having children from those rapes. Some who ended up getting HIV and AIDS from all those rapes. Per choice. And you imagine, even as a 9-year-old, I wasn't spared. So many of you have children. 9 years old. We went even younger. They strip away our taste. So we have a responsibility to speak, to stand, to educate, travel to Europe so many times, to Poland, advocating for, as a chair, advise on policies, 57 countries, on anti-trafficking policy. It means that we have a responsibility. If you survive something, it means you have a responsibility. And so this man, I know our president thanked RPA, Rwandan Community Abroad, almost at the end of the genocide, once the militia intel realized that the Rwandan Community Abroad was actually risking all their lives to come and rescue any Tutsi. They are our heroes. They risked everything to save any life that was still alive by then. And once this man who had kept me in his home now with the twin sisters, he realized that he had to escape, he had to flee to Congo. And he wasn't taking the 3-year-old twin sisters. He told me that he has taken them away, and he claimed that he had killed them. But I couldn't escape, and I had to go with him to Congo. It was in the Congo where they told me that he had a cousin, his man had a cousin who had killed, he told us that he had killed 309 children that he wanted to make the 400th child that he had on the list. So his family from there. His family, his mother, his brothers and sisters far from my life. I want all of you to know that not even to buy into an ego ideology, not even to buy into this propaganda campaign. Some of us are alive today because those who choose risked even their lives to protect ours. So his main delegate, at one point in the refugee camp, as we were heading to Congo, he came running for me with a machete. And his family heard him right on his to protect me. And here's what they told me. They told me that I was the one and only Tutsi woman left. Therefore, they had to protect me. And somehow I'll be in a museum for others to come and see what Tutsi used to look like. And if they didn't kill me, that would actually be worth a lot of money. That they would sell me for a lot of money. We're not really as humans. Maybe I can purchase with money. Was in the Congo as we were actually trying to exit Congo. I want to share this real quick. By Maloney River, many of you who have been in Rwanda, who know the Maloney River, it has so many dead bodies in the river. People tied up, women still holding their babies in their backs. And it was a Maloney River where I was identified as a Tutsi. They put all of us in line to be killed. They killed every single one of the people involved me. And it was my turn. My prayer made saying, God, please blind them that they might not see. They're right there in shades. May God blind them that they might not see. I heard this woman running, she comes up and she say, that's my child. She lives through these thousands of people, refugees. And she said, that's my daughter. I was on the ground, started to just everybody else. And I'm thinking to myself, I've seen my mother's dead body. This woman's going to walk down here. She's going to look at me. And she's going to realize that the daughter that she lost is not me. And this woman looks at me on the ground and continue to claim it as her daughter. He said, that's my daughter. Remember our national identification card that I told you about? So they take me, lift me up, and take me on one side. They take this woman on the other side. They ask her a series of questions. She had to show her racial identification. They asked me for my name. They asked me for my age, the location where I was born. Which right now, everything that was written, the racial identification card, matched everywhere. And they brought back, moving back in her arms. And as I'm walking with this woman, I had millions of questions. Who are you? If they kill you, exact all issues are probably bigger. That's what I was thinking. As she told me, as I was walking away with her, she said, "We're tired. Go back with the same people. I will be with you." She was like, so I know many of you. I know my name everything lost. But God, I believe that He saved me and entrusted my life, and I believe that today, God has always been with me. And I want to share briefly as Carlo shared this prior to the beginning of this event, that sometimes we remember Remembrance has multiple aspects to it. It can bring anger, it can bring resentment. And the remembrance for us, so we can reunite and build it. And you've got our emotions, no matter its forms, within outside. I remember I went to Congo and I was about to be sold in marriage as a 10-year-old. Sold in marriage as a 10-year-old. And I said, God, I don't think you saved me to be married. We sold into marriage at a 10-year-old. So in the middle of the night, I hear the voice that says, get up and go. I showed up back into Rwanda. And that's where I found out that I came back to my hometown. And almost everybody, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, some of them I saw that in building things such, that everybody had been wiped out. I went to the orphanage home, found out that some of my siblings had survived. But the orphanage home was so at the max capacity that they couldn't keep me in the orphanage. So I became a homeless kid at a 10-year-old. I had my first job as a 10-year-old. I was a maid, I washed clothes, I cooked, I ironed, you name it, I did it. So I have to all children, you have a responsibility. You do it, I did it as a 10-year-old, you do it. Never too late. Can't be too young, too old to change the trajectory of your life. I remember walking on the streets in Nyanza being a homeless kid. I felt so safe, by the way, because I wasn't impacted by my chains of bars. I remember I felt this pain inside, felt dead inside. PTSD, trauma from everything that I've seen and everything that I've experienced. And it was again that same voice that says, forgive them. The voice that says, forgive them. Again, as the partner says, was remembrance. Some of this pain, hate, release my doubts, and I say, okay, God, you want to forgive. I don't have that strength in me. I'm being obedient. If you give me the strength, I will forgive. C.S. Lewis said that forgiveness is a lovely thing until we are past to forgive. But one of God's ways through the reconciliation, His reconciliation has asked us to forgive. Forgiveness is a gift to give yourself. And for me, I didn't have what it took. For the mothers who have lost your children, for the fathers who have lost your wives, for brothers who have lost your brothers and sisters. I know it's painful. But forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. I wouldn't be able to do half of the things that I do today without forgiveness. But it was God that allowed me to forgive so I can actually live the highest of my potential. Today I serve as a director of student services where I do the best I can to ensure that our students have the best education. And moving barriers next week I'll be interviewing for retention in Arizona. Again, trying to create a space where we can empower our students. I want to challenge all of you. I want to challenge the young people. The genocide would not have happened if it wasn't provided through the ideology of hate. I want to challenge you to denounce hatred, to make everything wrong. I want to challenge you that our people who perish, whose lives lived were so short, that you make it back every single day, that you make a decision to serve not only your community, this country, you will want to have responsibility. I thank you. Thank you for standing with survivors. Thank you for staying with us. As I shared again, presence is a gift. It's a gift for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and to you and to all the survivors from this day and always, echo your words. We say, Omega. And we are here because we are committed to ensure that it's not just the memory is kept alive, but also the resilience and the commitment that this should never happen again. Oftentimes, people will ask, why do you still remember? Why do you still remember 32 years later? This is why. It is important that when we talk about the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, we are not simply talking about a chapter in history. We are talking about the realities, the lives that were lost and touched by that dark chapter in history. It is important that we're not thinking of it as something so distant, something so far away we cannot touch it, or rather we are reminded that its effects live on to this day, because we have survivors like Jean here to tell their stories, and also because generation after generation, the impact of the genocide is still felt this day. And the ideology of that same genocide has not died out yet. And so when we talk about this, we would like to remind Rwandans and friends of Rwanda, when we say never again, it shouldn't simply be two words that we repeat, nor a chorus that we say year after year. It should rather be a call to action, a reminder to say that we truly need to make sure that it never happens again. That there will never be a time in history when we go back for 100 days like those were spoken about. Days when childhood disappeared, when darkness was more friendly than light, and when animals were less scary than humans. So as we continue the rest of our program today, I would like to call us to continue reflecting on what our role and our part should be in ensuring that that commitment, that memory, and that purpose is kept alive moving forward. At this point, I would like to welcome I don't know if we're ready for it to before we go into our next presentation, we're going to take a short moment to look at a few slides, a few pictures here, to make sure that as we're talking about this part of our history, we are reminded that the people who speak of were mothers, were fathers, were children, aunts and uncles, grandparents, neighbors, and friends. You may not be able to read the words from where you're sitting, but if you're able to, you will notice that many of these names that you will see, many of the faces you will see had names to them. And if you want to know more about this history, at the back of our programs, we always encourage you to scan your QR code that you'll see, because it will allow you to have a virtual tour of the Kigali Genocide Memorial, where you can find more information and details on this. So we'll take a few minutes to have a look at the slides, and then I'll come back to introduce our next presenter.
Munyarwanda nkwibutse se kwibuka kuhora wibuka uko mwana gato ukamwibuka cyangwa se ukabibuka ntabanga nguhishe mana ndananiwe umutima wanjye urantegeka nabuze imbaraga unduhure ndacyabunamiye sindata igiti sinkwibutsa kwibuka uhora wibuka uko mwana gato ukamwibuka cyangwa se ukabibuka nibuka bya bitambambuga nkaniha urupfu bapfuye ni rubi ba nyina bakojejwe isoni ndacyabunamiye sindata igiti abajugunywe mu manga n'inzobo ndabibuka n'abashangukiye imusozi hari n'ababuriwe irengero ndacyabunamiye sindata igiti sinkwibutsa kwibuka uhora wibuka ko mwana gato ukamwibuka cyangwa se ukabibuka abo twahigwaga hamwe ndabibuka
interest focused on the construction of exclusive identities in Rwanda from 1962 to 1994 and on the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. He has authored and co-authored several books and scholarly publications in genocide history, education, and building. And he's building. I would like to, at this moment, welcome Dr. Kasinawo to come and share with us his presentation to cultivate it.
Thank you, moderator. And the councilman, afternoon. It's not easy to talk after that. You heard her testimony. As she said, And Eddie Visser wrote in his book, recognized the duty of the survivor is to be with the dead and the living. We are here, as she said, testify. We have responsibility, as she said, to teach what's happening in Rwanda. I'm going to try to
It's all the way up. He wants to take out he wants to move around.
Yeah.
Yes. Excuse me.
Thank you. I'm going to take you briefly back to pre-colonial period, the post-colonial period in 1994, the genocide is try to see the lesson we learned and genocide now.
That should be fun.
All genocide begins with ideology. Which word do we use when you are talking? Which speech are we making when we are talking about others? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy, by the way, to see you, Greg. I'm so happy to see you. We met in 2005 for the first time. You are my mentor. We met many times in Rwanda. It's really, thank you for being here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the first step of genocide classification, we talk about us and others. The words we use to talk about others. All genocide begins by ideology, which was the pre-colonial period. In Rwanda, we had what they call Hutu, Tutsi, and Rwanda. And those terminologies existed before the colonial period, but the meaning was not the meaning that the colonial period gave to those terminologies. We share the religion, the language. We are all Rwandans. Cardinal, usually, when he founded the white father and white sister, he insists on fighters. He told to them that when you go to evangelize, you have to make sure that you become close to the power in the place. It happened in Rwanda, it happened in Togo, it happened in Ghana, in many countries in Africa. So this is in the constitution of the white family. You have to be close to the people, especially the power in the country we are going to. In Rwanda, 2019, they won class. He said that Tutsi are more intelligent than Hutu. Honestly, from which scientific research to say that you are more intelligent than others? So this was the beginning of discrimination.
And when they created the school system education, only Tutsi boys were accepted at school, not Hutu. 1926, Morteon and Voisin. Before the European arrived in Rwanda, you had the king and the whole administration, and the Hutu, the Twa, and the Tutsi, they were all represented under the authority of the. But what Morteon and Voisin did, in fact, they decided to have only the Tutsi. And the two others, they lost their job at that level. So only Tutsi were represented. That's another discrimination. Now, this is the introduction of the ID card. We mentioned the ID. And in Rwanda we had, and we still have, what we call clans, or ubwoko, Abasinga, Abagesera, Abazigaba, Abachawa, etc. But those ubwoko, our ubwoko, the Europeans, when they came, they forgot that they didn't want to hear about those ubwoko, but they focused on what they call race. And here you can see this is what they call IBUKA, or the book. IBUKA was the kind of ID when they distinguish the ubwoko and the race. Ubwoko, then the race, our Hutu, our Tutsi, and our Tutsi. And this was the creation by the Europeans. They insisted on what they call race. But when you analyze our society, we don't have race in Rwanda. We don't. We have groups differentiated by their social living conditions. But we don't have race. We don't have ethnic groups. Because if you go to the definition, we don't have ethnic groups. We don't have race. And the Belgian administration, when because they continue to divide the Rwandans, they keep those differences. They try to make sure that we, even ourselves, we understand that we accept that we are all different. So this was really the introduction of the seed of the genocide in Rwanda. This period of 56, 59, this is in Africa, the period where African leaders tried to request independence from the administration, from British or from Belgium or from France, to have independence. And our king, Mutara Rudahigwa, also wanted independence of Rwanda, but he was killed in Bujumbura, in Burundi, when he was ready to go to New York to request the independence of Rwanda. He got an injection, and 15 minutes later, he died. And up to now, the archives were not open. So they don't, the Belgian, because they know they have the information, but up to now, they didn't open the archives. So we don't know exactly, but we can read in some publications that he was killed by the Belgian administration. In fact, it is a medical doctor who gave him injection. So he died in 15 minutes later. 57. The incitement and the hate speech, again, the words, the speech we have with 57, Hutu manifest by the Hutu extremists who published this document. And again, they call it Hutu Manifesto, not Rwandan Manifesto, to exclude the Tutsi in the Torah. This document was supported by the Catholic priests of the Catholic Church, especially the two, Father Navo, the canon, they are not, they are known. In fact, they helped them, those 9 Hutu intellectuals, to write what's called the Hutu Manifesto. 57, Parliament, the creation of Parliament, again, we can see here why Parliament not Parliament Rwanda. Parliament Hutu, again, focusing on Hutu only and forgetting the other group. So again, ethnic orientation of the political party. 59, Habyarimana Gitera created this newspaper, but also the Hutu 10 Commandments. He published the Hutu 10 Commandments for the first time, 59. And he used his newspaper, Yambere, published those Hutu 10 Commandments. And we can see what he said. The relationship between Hutu and Tutsi is impossible. We are in 59. This commitment were the basis of mass mobilization for the hatred began. Here I put just maybe in later. I will show you when in 1990, because Kangura republished the Hutu 10 Commandments, the slide became linked. And 59, this is the beginning of killing Tutsi, and for the first time, Tutsi were forced to leave or exile to our neighboring. Now, we are in 1963. For the first time, newspapers, the Mondo Figaro, the Vatican Radio, they said, what was happening in Rwanda is a genocide. For the first time, they used the term genocide in Rwanda. But the UN and countries, they never recognized what happened in 1963 as a genocide. 1973, again, Tutsi were forced to leave the schools or the country, and some were killed in 1973. Now, 1990, Kangura. The Kangura newspaper published or republished the Hutu 10 Commandments. And this period of 1990 and 1994, we have seen also other newspapers like etc. Those are extremist newspapers supported by the government. Now, here I just put some article of the Hutu 10 Commandment, and you can see this. Every Hutu must know that Tutsi women, wherever she may be, is working for the Tutsi ethnic groups, or is strategic positions such as politics, administration, economics, military, and security must be restricted to the Hutu. So those are just examples of the Hutu 10 Commandments. This one, the Rwandan army must be exclusively Hutu. Yeah. hate speech continue, and after the publication of the Hutu Ten Commandment, killing really started in Jumba, Gisenyi, Rengeri, Kukiseraka, and Bobo. After the publication of the Hutu Ten Commandment, Tutsi were killed in those regions. October 1919, this is the Operation Global, when François Mitterrand sent troops to Rwanda to support Habyarimana against Arab League. Now, this is very interesting. You can see really that the government of Rwanda wanted to exterminate, as Jean said, to exterminate the Tutsi group. The conversation between Kwibuka32 and Jean Valjean. We are one-on-one between soldiers. Let's talk clearly. I'm asking you for those weapons because I will participate with the army in the liquidation of the problem. Problem is very simple. Tutsi represent a small group. We exterminate them. Colonel Kwibuka32, Chief of Staff of Gendarmerie, talking to General Jean Valjean, Head of Operation D'Envoi. We are in 1992. April 1993, creation of the RCA-DMV, the Radio Television People de Medical, another propaganda media. And we have 7th of April, beginning of the genocide. And here we have those are the numbers Tutsi killed in 100 days. But we still continue finding bodies. This was last week, last Saturday, April 18, 2026. 196 or 76 bodies were found and buried last week. So the number of Tutsi killed more than this. More than this. That's why we said over 1 million of Tutsi were killed. Since 1995, on the 7th of April, we commemorate every year. And in 2004, the United Nations General Assembly has recognized the atrocity committed in Rwanda and declared April 7, the International Day of Reflection of the Genocide Against the Tutsi, Rwanda in 1994. And on January 26, 2018, officially, the United Nations General Assembly unanimously adopted the resolution on the International Day of Reflection on the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. This narrative became official. So that's why from now on, we have to say genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. It has been recognized by the General Assembly since 2018. Some countries and cities have established April 7 as an annual day of remembrance. In France, it's official. 7th of April is a day of remembrance of genocide against the Tutsi. And recently, I've seen the state of Michigan, the city of Toronto, recognizing the 7th of April is the day of commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi. The indictments. Today, we have 1,196 indictments in 33 countries. And the majority of them are in the DRC, 405. And in Europe, the majority are in France. And this was those data. I got those data last week from the national NPP, the National Public Prosecution Authority. In 2017 in France, Article 24 of France Act of 29 July 1881 on the freedom of the press was amended to prohibit denial of international recognized genocide. So, 2017. In France, today, if you deny the internationally recognized genocide, you made a crime. So you are punishable. This is official. But then they need actions. That's another story. But in law in France, if you deny the genocide against Tutsi, you can go to the court. They can take you to the court. In Belgium, April 27, 2019, Belgium adopted legislation to prohibit the denial of genocide or crimes and crimes against humanity, including the 1994 genocide. So it's a good step. But still, there are many genocides in Belgium when really nothing is done to arrest them. The Holy See. On March 2017, Pope Francis recognized officially that, yes, it was a genocide. Responsibility of priests, nuns. They recognized those responsibilities, and he mentioned for president. Right. Now, lesson learned. After the genocide, Rwanda started to repeat itself. And we had the Gacaca. I am not developing the Gacaca, but we had more than 130,000 prisoners. Now, the question was how to judge those people. That's how the government of Rwanda, they reintroduced the Gacaca code. And this was the Gacaca last from 2002 and 2012, for 10 years. Then we had ICTR, and for the first time, the Prime Minister, head of government, was condemned, and then also for the first time, rape was recognized as a crime, genocide. And then the government also worked on reconciliation within Rwandan society. And today, we can be happy with the achievement in terms of reconciliation, even though, especially during the Kwibuka, we can see genocide ideology action. Another lesson, this is what the government is doing in terms of development. We have the NST2, focusing on economic transformation, social transformation, and also in terms of the governance, how to create this country together as Rwandans. All Rwandans be involved, also the Rwandans in diaspora, to be together and create our country and work for the Vision 2050, where Rwanda would be in 2050. We have a visionary leadership, and what we have achieved is thanks to our leaders and thanks to our President Paul Kagame. The good governance, the leadership, I think this is recognized internationally, and we have to be proud of that. Gender equality, having women represented in all decision-making areas, and we have also what we call the Agaciro Kwigira. Those are Rwandan to show to the world that we have solutions for our people. Rwandans have solutions, and together we can achieve many, many things. I think I was thinking that there will be many students in the room, but I think I can see that majority here are Rwandans, so everyone knows what I'm talking about here. Genocide ideology, genocide denial. In Rwanda, we have a law of 2018 punishing those who commit the crime of denial or genocide ideology. This is the law, for example, to state or indicate that genocide has not had distorted facts or to affirm that there were two genocides. So you have this law punishing those people who deny the genocide against the Tutsi. This is the law in Rwanda. Now, genocide ideology, an offense committed in public. It can be public here, it's more than two people. More than two people, it's public. Or in a newspaper, on social media, this is the public. So after, more than two people considered as public. Sorry. Yes, verbally or in writing or any other manner, which allows for the proliferation of any ideology that calls for the destruction of the or any part, national, racial, or religious group. Genocide ideology means believing or supporting the killing of people because of their race, religion, or ethnic groups. These ideas can be shared through speeches, actions, or encouraging others to hate. Especially during the period of Kwibuka, we have those genocide ideologies. And here I'm going to give you an example. This was last year, April 17, 2025. In case we are lucky enough to have another genocide, we start by killing you and your surviving family members. Got this from a read. So, especially during the period of Kwibuka, some people still have this genocide ideology. So this person is not denying, but has genocide ideology. If I have possibility, I will end here. So we still have a lot of to do in terms of education. And here, those are cases in 2024, 191, 2025, 2007, in 100 days. And those numbers, the whole year. Now, you can ask why it's increased 2024, 2025, 2024, 2025. The explanation I got from reading is that today there are some former prisoners who are going out from prison, going to the village. And when they arrived there in the village, they met their friends or former friends who also committed genocide, but were not arrested. Well, we are finding other bodies after 32 years. Why? Because those former prisoners are going back to the field, home, and then they said, oh, in 1994, yes, I killed, but also, if you went there, you can find bodies. So they go there, and they find bodies sometimes, many times, under houses and buildings. Then when they asked those people why you didn't say anything, why you didn't give information, they didn't have nothing to say. So that's why those people today are arrested. This was 3 weeks ago, so the first week of commemoration in France. So this is commemorative plaque. This is the text in French. I give you the text in English. In 1994 in Rwanda, more than 1 million people, all ages, were murdered because they were born to see victims of a genocide ordered by the state, carried out by Hutu extremists. At this place, pay tribute to them and express our support with the victims and survivors. This is the commemorative plaque in France, in Rwanda. But what's happened 2 weeks ago, after the 7th of April this month? Look, there is nothing. There's nothing. For some people, during the night, they erase the text. This is in France. That's this week. I mean, the first week of commemoration, 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Genocide ideology. Genocide ideology, expressed through media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, etc., through books, articles. Strategy for fighting genocide denial. Establishing law, we have laws. Arrest and hold trials. The government of Rwanda did this. Document and publish facts. I think we have some articles and publication books. Hold those accountable. Who perpetrated and denied genocide by holding open nation forums for community members to confess, apologize, and forgive. We have this in villages and community. Continue commemoration. Commemoration like this one help also to continue together, to educate, to learn, visit genocide memorial sites, educate about past genocide and the danger of genocide ideology by incorporating genocide prevention material in school curriculum. In Rwanda, the genocide, the curriculum on genocide is from P6, the last grade of primary school, through what they call S6, the last grade of high school. From P6 to S6, every year you have a chapter on genocide against the Tutsi. Meaning that Rwandan kids, after they high school, they have learned all classes, all states, like all states, they are done in school. So education is key. Commemoration, visiting memorial sites, you learn. And I finish with this quote. People are not inherently bad. People could be made bad and they could be taught to be good. So we still have a lot of to do to educate, continue to educate young people, but also everyone, Rwandans and non-Rwandans. When we do commemoration here, it's also to educate ourselves, but also friends of Rwanda. So the world has to know. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Gasanabu. Without taking much time, I would like to welcome Dr. Gregory Stanton for his remarks today. For those who do not know, Dr. Stanton is the founding president of Genocide Watch. And he also founded Genocide Watch in 1999, but he also founded and is the chair of Alliance Against Genocide, the world's first anti-genocide coalition. As many have heard, we've learned about the different stages of genocide, something that he has been a big champion about. For a while, he worked for the State Department. He also wrote the UN resolutions that established the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. One of the things that I am privileged to have learned from him through his writing and the study of his material is that genocide is not accidental. It's not something that happens out of context. It is planned, it is grown, it is accomplished. And that is why, as Rwandans, it is always very important for us to ensure that we use the right terminology, the right language, when we communicate to the world and to others about the history of our nation. I would like to give him time to share his remarks with us today. And then following that, we'll proceed with the rest of our program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a huge honor for me to be here with you today. Rwanda is my second country. I love the world. And Rwandans have inspired me so much. We've heard from many people. We've heard from people who have educated the whole world. The beginning of the modern anti-genocide movement was the response to the Rwandan genocide. You have changed the world by suffering this terrible genocide and recovery from your country was crucified and it was brethren. What I want to do today is just read a book that I wrote about justice. It's called Justice. And justice come in courts. And a widow's tears be dried by trials. When a raped girl's shame be healed by ceremonies. When a fatherless child be consoled. What is justice to a mother whose children were slaughtered before she was raped? What is justice to a bride whose husband's last caress was the last she will ever know? What is justice to a woman who will never trust a man again? What is justice to an orphan and a refugee? What is justice to lawyers who still won't call it genocide? Justice is the spirit of the law. Without justice, law is dead, like an empty law. Without justice, there can be no reconciliation. Without justice, love cannot reweave the social tapestry. Without justice, hope dies. Without justice, death conquers life. Justice establishes the truth. Justice restores dignity to the victims. Justice recognizes a widow's grief. Justice is digging up bones and giving them proper burial. Justice is telling stories of suffering to someone who really listens. Justice is confession that your country was responsible. Justice means always having to say you're sorry. Justice struggles to understand why people do such evil. Justice affirms that the rule of law is stronger than the rule of force. Justice says murderers cannot get away with genocide. Justice is the antidote to abandonment. Justice is reconnection to the human race. Justice restores the social order. Justice rebalances the moral universe. Justice is God's force, socially expressed. Love is God's force, personally expressed. With justice and love, hope returns. Hope is the assurance that life will triumph over death.
Thank you, Dr. Sampson. On behalf of us all in this room here today, I would like to express our gratitude for your friendship to us as Rwandans, but also your commitment to being a voice that spoke out when many didn't, and one that never feared to speak truth in the face of pressure and pushback. Thank you for your words of encouragement today. And I know, if given the opportunity, many in this room would express the same kind of gratitude. I'd like to proceed with calling upon Ms. Kwibuka32, President of the RCA-DMV, to share with us her remarks on this day.
Good afternoon. Distinguished guests, Excellency Deputy Ambassador Arthur Simon, representatives of the Catholic University, esteemed speakers, survivors, friends of Rwanda, fellow Rwandans, and members of our community. Today has been a day of reflection, a day of truth, a day of remembrance. We've listened to painful testimonies, to memories that are difficult to bear or hear, and to the courage of those who continue to speak so that the world doesn't forget. We have had stories marked by profound suffering, including violations meant to destroy dignity and humanity itself. Yet even after such cruelty, this Janine stood before us with grace, strength, and truth. We offer our sincere gratitude for the extraordinary courage it took to revisit such pain so that others may learn, remember, and stand against hatred. We've learned from experts who help the world understand how hatred is built, how genocide happens, and why vigilance is necessary. We've been reminded that survivors do more than carry pain. They carry pain, they carry lessons for humanity. That is why we gather each year for Kwibuka. We gather to honor the lives that were taken. We gather to stand with the survivors. We gather to remind ourselves and others that the truth of what happened in 1994 must never be denied, minimized, or forgotten. Kwibuka is not only about remembering the past, it is also about the responsibility we carry in the present. Because memory matters, truth matters, and humanity matters. As nations evolve, memory must remain for progress. For without truth, progress is incomplete. Rwanda's journey reminds us that the world of what resilience really looks like. A country that experienced unimaginable darkness chose not to remain there. It chose unity over division, rebuilding over revenge, and hope over despair. That does not erase the pain, it does not remove the loss, but it shows what is possible when people choose to rise. And that is one of the reasons remembrance is so important. We do not remember only to mourn, we remember to learn. We remember to protect the truth. We remember so that the future generations understand that the cost understand the cost of hatred and the value of human dignity. We know pain can echo through generations, but so can courage. We must recognize that never again cannot simply be words we repeat once a year. It must be a principle we live by. It means speaking against divisions. It means speaking and rejecting humanization. It means defending truth even when it's uncomfortable. It means standing for those who suffer anywhere in the world.
I would also like to take this moment on behalf of RCA in the DMV, alongside my co-organizer, President of IBUKA, to sincerely thank each and every person who played a role in making today possible and keeping the memory alive. We extend our special gratitude to the Catholic Embassy of America for opening its doors and hosting this commemoration for the past 3 years. Your partnership, compassion, and commitment to education and human dignity means more than words can express. Today, after everything we've heard, we live with more than sorrow. We live with responsibility. Responsibility to remember, responsibility to educate, responsibility to build unity where others seek division. To the survivors among us, we honor your strength. To the families of those who lost, we remember with you. To the younger generations, the first and second. The younger generations, we pass this responsibility to you with hope. May we continue to remember. May we continue to unite. May we continue to remember our commitment to never again. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. This one, I would like to welcome our guest of honor, Honorable Deputy Chief of Mission, Arthur Simwe, to come and share with us his remarks on his behalf of Her Excellency Ambassador Rwanda for this 32nd commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi.
Mwiriwe. Mu izina rya nyakubahwa ambasada Mukantabana Matilda, ambasada wacu muri Washington D.C, ndabashimiye cyane kuba mwaje muri benshi mukaza kwifatanya n'imbaga yose bari aha ngaha muri iki gikorwa gikomeye cy'ingenzi cyo kwibuka abacu bazize Genocide muri 1994. Ndabashimira cyane. I want to also express my gratitude on behalf of the Embassy to the Catholic University of America for being a good friend to the community and hosting us for the third time in a row as we carry out the events of commemoration here. I also want to thank the leadership of DMV and the leadership at IBUKA for organizing this event. Now, speaking last is very difficult because everything is insane. But I've just been encouraged by a statement that Dr. Stanton said. Rwanda was crucified, but Rwanda resurrected. Yes. That's a very powerful statement. Jean's story showed us how Rwanda was crucified. But again, Dr. Gasanabo has showed us the journey that we have undertaken. So friends,
Our country was destroyed. Our country was on its knees 32 years ago. Our country was region of society was destroyed. Rwanda was seen as a hopeless nation. That was the genocide. There's one very sad reality about this genocide. That close to 1,500 families were completely wiped out, never to be traced on this black earth. The DNA of all the families completely wiped out. That's in addition to over 1 million people that were executed. The stories of this oral at times so difficult to comprehend and understand. When Jean was making her emotional testimony, and Jean, thank you so much for being such a great speaker. I can't imagine how you combine a smile. I can afford a smile, that moving testimony. But thank you so much for sharing the story. So valuable. Talked about women directly. In my previous life, I used to be a journalist. And one of the stories that I covered that still touches me up now is the story of rape. Rape during the slaughter. Young girls, young women were gang raped. A young lady who is 9 years, 10 years, 12 years is raped by over 20 militia. As if that's not enough, you're left with now. You're supposed to be giving birth to this child, whose father you never know, because you are gang raped. As if that's not enough, you're infected with HIV/AIDS and all sorts of diseases. And these people survive. And they have these children that are constantly reminded of the kind of inhumane suffering they're going through. But they have to accept that these are their kids. So the journey of reconciling the past, also the reality of having a child that will be asking you who my dad is a terrible memory for most of people. But so I carry a message picked from Dr. Stanton's statement that yes, Rwanda was fortified. But again, Rwanda has resurrected. We refuse to be held hostage to this ugly past. We remember, because it's important. Once we forget, you're bound to make the same mistakes. But again, as Rwandans, we chose to forgive and move ahead as one. And to the survivors, I want to re-echo what our president has always said, that we will find no words to express our gratitude for accepting to forgive. The burden of reconciliation has fallen on the shoulders. And the amount of sacrifice you've made to make sure that our country moves forward is difficult to say in words. So Rwanda has moved on. Rwanda is a beacon of hope. And this is a message for you, the young people. You've heard these stories that happen in our country. Yes, it's not a movie. It's not a Hollywood script. It's the reality. But together now, we are one. And this new identity of our nation has made us resurrect, like what Dr. Stratton, Dr. Craig was talking about. Today, Rwanda is not only seen as the best example of post-conflict reconstruction, building, but Rwanda is a beacon of hope on the African continent. When you Google, do your research, Rwanda is one of the performing economies on the continent of Africa. Top 3 fastest growing economies of Africa. Rwanda is one of the best governed countries on the continent of Africa. Rwanda is one of the most secure countries on the continent of Africa. Rwanda is the most successful nation that has empowered the girl child. The women in Rwanda have become a very important, powerful tool in the development of our nation. That's why Rwanda is the first in hosting, having the biggest number of women in our parliament. All these stories we talk about, the success stories we talk about, could not have been achieved without a good and clean leadership that we have today. So, as we reflect on this historical justice, as we reflect on this ugly history, we also are proud that we have built a nation under the leadership of President Paul Kagame that is forward-looking, that gives hope to every Rwandan from every corner of the world that you're in. And so such a day, it's important to re-echo this message that wherever we are, as Rwandans, we have to remain a united front. We have seen the worst of what divisions can cause. We cannot be held hostage to this past. For us to be a state that has a voice at the table of decision making, we Rwandans have to remain a united front. Nicho tuwasana abanyarwanda bari ahangaha mu mahanga, whatever we do, we are identified by the brand ko kuri abanyarwanda, ndi umunyarwanda. And the young generation, this is a challenge to you. We do away with any form of discrimination and build a brand of abundance, being one and forward-looking. Rwanda today, Rwandans across the world, I think have been blessed by one thing, that they have hope and have hope for tomorrow. Together, let us make sure that we safeguard this hope and make sure that whoever comes amidst us to try and take us to our past, to resist. There's a big fight out there now, a fight against people trying to deny this history. It's a challenge for you, the young generation. And I have no doubt that you have all the skills, the energy, the passion to fight that fight. Thank you so much. I was it to come to you.
Thank you, Honorable CM. And with that, we've come to the close of our event today. But to all of us here, if you woke up nothing else from today, I encourage you to walk out with a reminder that the survivors live on. The memory lives on. The one lives on. You have chosen not just to leave, but lead with a purpose, and that is to always be the voices, the people, the nation that stands against injustice wherever it happens. Thank you all for being here today, and we hope that as we continue with the rest of the commemoration period for the remainder of the 100 days, we continue united, and that we continue to take care of each other and the survivors in our midst. We thank you all. And as we exit, there are refreshments that have been prepared for us to share. So let us head out into the hall, part of the team of directors to where we need to go. I'm reminded that Jan has a book, one of the books that she's authored, out in the hallway. She'll be available to talk to buy it from her, and to share a bit more about it when you exit. Thank you all. Have a wonderful afternoon. As the rest of the room starts to exit, we'd like to ask the speakers, the presenters, to step forward with our guest of honors for a picture, and then we'll proceed to exit with everybody else. Thank you all.
Let's take one quick one before they move from.
cyangwa se ukabibuka abo twahigwaga hamwe ndabibuka sinihishe ngo nsigare nubwo ndi igisenzegeri ndacyabunamiye sindata igiti nyabusa munyarwanda ibuka igihe gishize cyo gashira imigezi yahindutse amaraso ndacyabunamiye sindata igiti sinkwibutsa kwibuka uhora wibuka ko mwana gato ukamwibuka cyangwa se ukabibuka nari mfite umuryango munini urawibuka wowe wari ufite abavandimwe bose bazize akarengane ndacyabunamiye sindata igiti muri twe hari urari ntaramiye Bugesera undi inzozi ze ziba Gisozi hari n'abirirwa Bisesero n'abagorobereza ahandi nkaho sinkwibutsa kwibuka uhora wibuka ko mwana gato ukamwibuka cyangwa se ukabibuka ntawiyungira kunzika birazira nta n'ubumwe burimo inzigo ariko ukuri kurubaka dusabe nyagasani tuzunga ubumwe Munyarwanda nkwibutse se kwibuka
twibuka umunsi wanze kwira twibuka ijoro ryanze gutana ijosi ryibasiwe bitavugwa igihugu cyuzuye imiborogo ubwoko bwahindutse icyaha twibuke bya bihe bitavugika umuntu arengwa n'ibyo areba nta murengeza abona n'umuhumyi hirya bicanwa n'uwabahishe muhendahenda ngo mwicwe vuba twarabakundaga turababura ikibi cyanyu tuzacyusa bana b'u Rwanda tuzacyusa isura hari n'abandi